Our top focus. In a perverse display of misplaced priorities, legislators in Karnataka continue to demand luxury even as the state grapples with a financial crunch. You might have already seen the visuals of the recliners and the massagers that have been brought in to satiate the bodies and the egos of lawmakers in Karnataka for this assembly session at a cost of about 12.75 lakhs, but it just doesn't end there. They also want a new and renovated legislators club at a cost of 20 crore rupees. And they also want a salary hike, which according to the reports is to the tune of up to 50%. Just 3 years after they had already received a similar pay hike. Here's the irony of it all. Dear politicians who will otherwise bicker and block any legislative business in the name of party politics have all united when it comes to the paycheck. The previous pay hike happened in 2022 under the BJP government. Even this time, while the BJP, being the opposition party, is opposing the recliners and massagers being brought in on the House, it was still a part of the panel whose key members you see on your screens who backed this pay hike. Listen in now to how MLAs across all parties are justifying the need for a hike.
The subject did figure in our meeting. Opinions were also expressed. Government will consider the suggestions made in the meeting. We may bring some legislation during this session.
Okay. Legislation on revising the salary by 50% or what is
No.
In 2022,
that is to be decided. We will bring legislation regarding revision of salary because it is long time it is not done.
Some MLAs, they are requesting to hike salaries. They have to travel in their consciences, no? They have to travel in their consciences. Expenditure will be more. Then, whatever I get salaries, I will, since from beginning, I will give it to schools.
Donate to schools. But many are saying that when the government is bankrupt, why is the government even thinking of increasing the MLA salaries? Can they not let go of the MLAs are rich enough? Can they not let go of salaries?
All are not rich.
Maybe Arvind Bellad was moved a bill earlier, 3 years back. He just asked what about the bill. So Chief Minister told that. So we will decide. That's all has happened in the meeting. See, it is not a matter of supporting or going against it. See, some MLAs even doesn't need of all this. Some is needed, so that we cannot tell individually anything.
Now, let's not forget the context in which all of this is happening. Karnataka is facing a severe financial crunch. The state has yet to pay 30,000 crores to contractors, while 6,000 crores in electricity bills remain unpaid. The state is also waiting on 5,300 crores from the center. And if that wasn't alarming enough, 258 government buildings have defaulted on property tax payments for the last 17 years. To pay up for these dues, Karnataka's government, which is led by the Congress, continues to squeeze citizens dry. Since June 2024, fuel sales tax has risen by 3.92% for petrol and 4.1% for diesel. Stamp duty has surged by 200 to 500%. Even the humble Nandini milk has become pricier by up to 2 rupees per litre, impacting consumers since June last year. KSRTC bus fares have increased by 15%. And all of this is an attempt to pay for the guarantees which the Congress had promised. Not that even that delivery is going smoothly. The Gruha Lakshmi scheme, which was to provide 2,000 rupees per month to 1.5 crore women, has seen payments halted for the last 3 months, with over 7,500 crores still pending. Meanwhile, the Anna Bhagya scheme, meant to offer extra rice or cash compensation to BPL families, has also seen disbursements stalled for the last 5 months. So the state is in debt, guarantees are not being rolled out, Your cost of living is increasing, yet in all of those times, lawmakers are living their life in physical and financial comfort, and they want it to only increase. How is this acceptable? Let me put that across to my guests who are joining me with on this very, very important debate, which affects all citizens, not just in Bangalore, but in all metro cities as well. Dr. Sudha R. Halkai is spokesperson of the Karnataka BJP. Sudheendra MG is spokesperson of the Karnataka Congress. I'm also being joined by Bejon Misra, who is one of India's foremost consumer rights activists. And I hope to be joined by Ayan Faria, who's a leadership coach, but is also someone who's representing a citizen voice today on our panel. Thank you all for joining me at this point. Let me begin with my Congress guest who are joining me. Sudheendra ji, how is this acceptable? At a time when milk prices are increasing, bus fare prices are increasing, the cost of vehicles, you're thinking of coming up with a lifetime tax on EVs, registration prices are increasing of cars. How is it justified for MLAs to decide on themselves that, okay, we deserve to be paid even more than before? All this talk of austerity, all this talk of financial burden, all this talk of a drain on the resources goes out of the window when it comes to the MLAs themselves?
Yeah. See, firstly, the Business Advisory Council, which consists of members from all parties, has suggested the Honorable Chief Minister to, make a kind of, to approve a hike for all party MLAs. See, this is also, you kept on mentioning throughout your discussion, throughout your turn that, it was only because of the all rising cost and other. See, rising cost has nothing to do with the MLA's perks. See, if you even look at the benchmarking with other states, Karnataka stands too low. When if you see the, even Haryana, I have just got the list here, Haryana, HP, Jharkhand, Manipur, Punjab, TN, UP, Pondicherry, Gujarat, Maharashtra, all these states, the MLAs get almost double of what our MLAs are currently getting. It does not justify the hike. But what I'm trying to tell you, when you go for a benchmarking with other states as well, our MLAs are paid the very low. I mean, our MLA salaries currently are very low. And then the hike, what you mentioned, you tried to make this issue with the bus hike or Nandini milk. Bus hike was pending since last 6 years. The diesel prices have surged. The other maintenance costs have surged, but there was no hike done. Likewise in Nandini increase of 2 rupees goes to the farmers. It benefits the farmers who comes to the dairy. So there is no link. Please don't try to connect between the price hike done for the common man and there is an increase.
No. See,
even in any corporate firms, they give you increment every year. Every year there is an increment in any corporate or anywhere you go. That is how.
So which corporate firm? So which corporate firm gives us an increment? One second, Sudheendra ji. Which corporate firm gives a pay hike of 30%, 40%, and that too in a space of 3 years? Maybe they give. I mean, I don't remember ever getting an increment more than 15%. I work in a news channel at this point. The other thing is, I'm not. The second point you mentioned. No, one second, Sudheendra, let me explain my point. The second thing you mentioned is that I am connecting milk prices increasing, bus fare prices. I am pointing out that for my viewer, who is the citizen of Bengaluru, citizen of Karnataka, all other prices are increasing. And if you want to benchmark Karnataka with other states, benchmark the state's debt. Benchmark how registration costs in Karnataka for a new car is higher than any other state. In those areas, we are not benchmarked, and the reason being given is, again and again by leadership of your party, Mr. Siddaramaiah, Mr. Shivakumar, is we need money to come up with the pro-poor schemes, which is fair enough, understandable. The burden of the poor people needs to be borne by us. But then why does this message of austerity, why does this message of, we need to pay a bit more for the state's development not trickle down to lawmakers, sir?
Hey, 1 minute. The percentage of hike is not decided. They have asked for a 50% hike, but that is not at all decided. The proportionate of hike that needs to be done is not decided. That is a prerogative of the Chief Minister along with the Law Minister and the Honorable Deputy Chief Minister. They are going to take a call. That will be followed in the next couple of days or whenever, in the due course of time after the budget session maybe. But to showcase that they are getting a 50% pay hike is totally wrong at this point of time, because the percentage is not at all decided yet. One. Secondly, as far as austerity measure goes, again, I'm coming to this. See, when you say the other costs have increased, even the MLAs, they need to cover the constancy cost, like how Mr. Ramlinga Reddy was just saying in your in a bite to your channel. But all other costs have increased, and so is the expenses of the MLAs as well. Why do you have to differentiate them from others? As far as corporate goes, at least every year there is a system where they give you a hike. The last hike was done for the MLAs in 2002, and despite the hike in 3 years, it is still the least when compared to at least 15 other states in India. And going by the Dept ratio or other ratio, each state has some other kind of a problems as to all of which what you mentioned. And coming to this being linked again with our guarantee schemes, let me tell you, guarantee schemes is being implemented very effectively. I agree with you that, the 3 months, see, from the last 2 quarters for the Graha Lakshmi scheme, it has been paid every 3 months only. I mean, I am myself a member of the Karnataka State Guarantee Committee. So I know it very well how the money is dispersed. Not a single pending payment up to the last payment is done. And whenever it is done per quarter. And effectively, it is been distributed to all people. There is no backlog or there is no huge holding back of money or anything as such as far as the guarantee scheme goes. So again, making a context of guarantee schemes to this MLA's hike is, I mean, little off the thing, because still you consider the constancy, increased constancy expenses, increased expenses of other things. That will justify what they are asking for. But again, saying that 50% is not decided. They have requested, the BSE has requested 50%.
But we'll take that out. Let me put that on record once again, that the hike has not been official, it's not been confirmed. The request which has come in from the Business Advisory Council, which also includes leaders from the BJP as well, we put those names out. They have asked for a 50%. Let's see what the final is. Fair enough. Now let me go across to Bejon Misra before that, and after that I'll go to my BJP guest. Bejon Misra, the point being made by a Karnataka Congress guest is that cost of living are increasing for MLAs also. MLAs also need money to do their job. MLAs also need money to sustain their families. Not all MLAs are crorepati's. And as a result, this pay hike or this demand for a pay hike is in sync with what is on par with other states here and should be decoupled from the fact that a citizen's cost of living is getting increased. Do you buy that argument, Bejon Misra ji?
No, not at all. Not at all. You see, we as citizens look at elected representatives as people who have agreed to dedicate and commit themselves to citizens' welfare. They have not gone into politics to draw salaries and amenities. You see, they have been, they with their own consent have agreed to become a politician and get elected by the electorate to protect the constitution and work for the citizens. They're not supposed to be asking for salary hike. The sheer asking goes to demonstrate that they have undermined their values. They have no value system within them. They're not supposed to be asking. They are supposed to be getting only that which they deserve to get, and let the constituency where they represent, let them decide. Let them decide how much to be given to them. Because my contention is, here you are not able to eradicate poverty, you are creating debt, you are not able to fulfill your promises, and then you sit by yourself and you increase your salary. Have you ever, Ritangshu, increased your own salary on your own? It has never happened.
Exactly.
Even the employer, when they give you a salary hike, they evaluate you. They see your performance. They see what kind of a return you have given on the money which has already been spent on you every month. Then they think annually take a review and then give you an increase. What about these elected representatives? They go and review themselves about their own performance. Let them go back to the constituency and then let them take a survey with the constituency that do they deserve a hike? Are they doing their work? Are they accessible? Are they able to be reached? Are they doing their work which they are supposed to do in their constituency? Let us review them and then talk about a kind of an increase which we will decide as citizens. They're not supposed to be deciding. They are elected representatives. They're not supposed to be making laws for themselves. They're supposed to make laws in the interest of the citizens, in the interest of the country. They're not supposed to be passing legislations for their own benefit. I mean, it is ridiculous. You are undermining the Constitution. You are supposed to be protecting the Constitution. You are supposed to ensure that you don't get into deficit financing. You don't create debt. You make development grow. You are yourself sitting and passing a law for yourself. This is ridiculous. I have never seen anywhere in the world happening like this. That people sit and pass their own legislation
And let's
in
be
their
honest,
own favor. Have you ever heard it, Ritangshu? Anywhere?
and in the interest of fairness, yeah, I agree. In the interest of fairness, let me also just preface it. This is not a Karnataka phenomenon. In the entire country, as you've pointed out, Bejon Misra, there is this great paradox of MLAs being their own appraisers and deciding their own increment. Doesn't happen anywhere in corporate India, despite the, given the fact that the Congress guest was also giving the example of corporate India, nowhere in corporate India do people decide their own increments and decide their own appraisals. Dr. Sudha, the purpose of a democracy or checks and balances in democracy is that if an MLA, if a lawmaker has not, if a representative of the people has not performed, 5 years later, people have the right to throw him or out or off office. But in this case, there's no accountability because whether it be Congress, whether it be BJP, all leaders are getting together when it comes to deciding their own pay hike. We suddenly see so cross-party solidarity from all political sections here, which if only we saw it a bit more during actual legislative business here. Why is it that for the BJP, suddenly, the party which gave the last pay hike in 2022, now it also feels that 3 years later, the MLAs deserve another pay hike?
I would like to say that Mr. Arvind Dalad had asked for the pay hike probably 3 years back, and it is not now. And Dr. Sudha Halkai, would like to put forth that the number of the business hours should be increased, and it is duty of the ruling party and the treasury bench to look into that so that the MLAs, the elected representatives, get more time to look into the grievances of the people and sit and discuss and solve the issues over there. And Congress, I would like to tell, 18 crores have been sanctioned to the Congress people who are into the monitoring of the guarantee implementation scheme. So why have they done this? And the Honorable High Court has asked for the profit of accounts for the 40 MLAs who have been given the cabinet ranking. So it is just not the increase of the of the salaries what they're thinking of to do by the Congress. The Congress has been spending so much of amount into unwanted things, and they have been looting the people of Karnataka. There are deep, grave grievances in Karnataka which has to be at the paramount. It has to be addressed. Take
Dr.
it
Halkai,
water crisis. Take it just a minute. Take it to water crisis. Take it farmer suicides and so many things. These things have to be addressed, and our leaders have told that namage swalpa samajake sarvasva. That means that little for us and much more for the society, and that is the ideology what we BJP have been following and are following. And
Dr. Sudha, as a member of the main opposition party, just answer in one line.
Of his,
No, one second, Dr. Dr. Sudha, so you have given a list of examples. Am I correct in summing up your stand that the BJP feels that the ruling Congress government has not done proper fiscal management at all? Yes or no?
Absolutely. It is an utter failure of the government.
So then, in that case, why does the leader of in that case, Dr. Sudha, why does the leader of opposition R. Ashoka, who is part of this Business Advisory Council board, allow a pay hike? On what basis do these lawmakers deserve a performance hike? If by your own assessment, if the majority of lawmakers, given that they belong to the ruling Congress party, have not done justice with the state's money, why do they deserve a pay hike? And why is the BJP not opposed it?
See, I told you earlier also, Arvind Dalad has asked it 3 years back, and we have not asked for 50% hike or something. When they told we have to, we want to increase the pay hike for this one, probably they have agreed for little. We have not asked for 50%, and we are completely against all the recreation services which are supposed to be given to the MLAs. They've already got all those recliner chairs, massage chairs and all. There are so many people. The nurses are not getting the salaries. The Anganwadi people are not getting the salaries. There are so many government servants who have not got the salaries since past 3 months. They are not addressing that. And Mr. Siddaramaiah has spent 2.5 crores to renovate his bathroom to the CM's house, and he has given an expenditure of 3 crores for this helicopter from only from Mysore to Bangalore. Why aren't they looking about all those things? Today, the grievances
again,
of the people of Karnataka has
no,
to be
we are,
attended as the first
but my
priority.
only point is,
And Mr.
see,
CM, Mr.
see, let's
Siddaramaiah,
be,
it is his duty to look after the public. He has to attend the grievances of the public first. He has not done that. And as a constructive opponent, we have been always
no, Dr.
questioning
Sudha,
that,
my
and we are
only
always
limited
on the
point
back
is,
seat
while
for
yes,
that.
the Congress government is in power and we are raising all these questions for the Congress party, the point is that when it comes to any matter which benefits the BJP at this point, or at least an individual BJP MLA's paycheck, suddenly then the issue of whether money is being used properly is seemingly not taken on board, because it's a unanimous recommendation that's coming from the Business Advisory Council. You mentioned, Dr. Sudha, you mentioned the issue of recliners. Let's talk about that. And Faria, you are a prominent citizen voice as well as a leadership coach here. I'm sure you work with a lot of corporate companies in order to help in leadership here. How many companies reward a worker who's deciding to slack off or take an afternoon nap or not returning to work post lunch by saying that, okay, if you don't feel like working, if you want to take a little nap, we'll give you a massive massage chair, we'll get you a recliner, relax, take a small afternoon nap, and then come back and do your work. I mean, this is an ideal workplace. I wish my company or any company ever gave me those perks.
Okay, I'm going to try and take a balanced view of this whole thing, particularly because companies like Google, which are one of the best places in the world, the company to work for, great places to work, GPTW. Now, look at it from that point of view. If you're giving people perks, then you can actually get a lot more out of them. The question here is, who's going to ask for that accountability? See, the citizen only has the power to vote. It doesn't have any other power, right? You can't go to your elected representative and tell them, boss, you can't get an extra pay hike or something. I think this gives everyone an opportunity to be heard. And I'm glad the voices are saying what they're saying. Now, I'm just going to give it a slightly different twist. What if these things help the politicians to work better? I'm thinking we don't need to bash them all the time. I feel it's time to look at it from an accountability perspective. Why can't we talk to our representatives and say, you've got your recliners, you've got your salary hike. Now, what are you doing on the job? I think we need to get accountability from them. I'm not really worried about this because these are all small sums compared to what some of our politicians could make. Let's look at it practically. They don't need this. But can we get accountability? I'm really wanting to push for that. How do we get our representatives to talk to us? I'm glad that some things are being done to say, let the citizens come in and we are going to hear their voices. The Congress party in Karnataka is doing something. How much comes out of it, I don't know. But I'm saying it's time to turn the tide. It's time for us citizens to ask questions. It's time for us to sit with our elected representatives and ask them what the hell have they done. I think I'm willing to give them the pay hike. I'm willing to give them the recliners and everything, provided they do the work. That's my view.
That is a very balanced and nuanced argument here. I think Bejon Misra wants to come in at this point. Bejon Misra, I think you want to respond. The question is that even if you take the example of a Google. Yeah, go on, Dr. Bejon Misra. Go on.
I don't want to compare apple with oranges. You see, what I want to tell you is, Ritangshu, for the last 4 decades, we have been talking about good governance, accountability, transparency within the governance. We have gone ahead and developed what is called a citizens charter. We have gone ahead and developed number of schemes where we want elected representatives to be measured in terms of their performance. But we have all miserably failed because none of them are interested in being measured in terms of performance. None of them. So my panel member who is hoping that we'll give them a chance, taking a balanced view, I think we are going to waste our time again. If we have not been able to do in 4 decades, we have to be very harsh now. We have to say, yes, you can take a cut, you can take a kind of a increase, or you can get a performance incentive kind of a mechanism where based on your performance in terms of you using your fund which has been given to you for development of your constituency, there are a number of criteria which we have developed. We have shared it with the governments. We have told them that let's measure it in this manner. in terms of the performance of the elected representatives. But they're not interested. They feel that they're above everybody. They are above law, they think that. Whereas they're the custodians of the Constitution. It is no time for giving them any kind of a leverage or any kind of a concession now. You see, you can see in what kind of a situation the country is going through. We are having more than 2 crore people going below the poverty line because of high healthcare costs. People are not able to access healthcare. People are not able to access quality education. You see, what are you trying to tell the citizens? What are you trying to prove in terms of, see, the point I am making is, it is not a corporate lifestyle while you are in the government. You, with all your intent, you come and join politics to serve the citizens. You don't come to draw a salary. Please remember this. You see, the fundamental is you don't come and join politics to draw a salary. You come and join politics to serve the people.
Let me then put that across.
You are coming from a background where you would have had a professional career, or you would have been a farmer, or you would have had an income, and you think of becoming a politician and you get into politics. So please remember, the politicians.
Okay, I'll come to you, Anfaria, because
in our last 40 years.
Okay, Bejonji, we have got your point. We have got your point, Bejonji. I just want to get in Sudheendraji before I go back to Ayan as well. Sudheendraji, the point which our panelists are making, what Mr. Bejon Misra is also saying is, you can't have your cake and eat it both ways.
Yeah.
If you say, either you look at politics as a public service, in which case then the issue of money doesn't come in. Just like when we see, you see politics as the same noble service like a doctor's or a fireman's service, in which the issue of money should not be ideally a primary concern. If you're comparing it to corporates, which you have done so, and say that, if in corporates we get increments appraisals, then you have to understand that these decisions are not taken by the employees themselves, their decisions are taken by bosses on the basis of performance evaluation. And no honest performance evaluation will reward employees shirking of attendance reward them with massagers or with recliners. There has to be a monitoring or accountability system which lacks, which is why then every time an MLA or a group of MLAs decide to give themselves a pay hike, us citizens can only see it with suspicion and cynicism.
Yeah. I beg to differ with Mr. Bejon Misra, mainly because in politics, he spoke about accountability, performance index and motivating and all those things. But then there is no such system across the country. It is not a Karnataka phenomenon or our state phenomenon. This has been like that since the way when this system started. So this is not a point which can be discussed and decided on based on one state. This is something which has to be discussed at the central level. All state has to be taken into consideration, and then if any such changes has to be done, then it's to be done. Saying that, if you cut off all the facilities, monetary facilities or any such facilities for them, then you mean to say only the rich can come and enter into the politics? There is no. I am a very ordinary person. I am a very average person. I was serving in a very big corporate. So you don't want people like us to come and join? There is no motivation, or there is talking of accountability. Show me a system, devise a system, and then let us speak of accountability. When there is no such system, and people
that is why lawmakers are there, sir.
People are there.
Sudheendra, that's what lawmakers are there. I understand that Karnataka is not the only state which is guilty of this. But surely the defense cannot be that, all states are doing this, surely we do. But I get your point.
It's what I'm trying to say is...
That's the reason why we're doing this at the top of 8 p.m.
This will also encourage young and other qualified people to join politics, and it will reduce dependence on unofficial funding to a considerable level. So, we should take all the things into consideration. That too much has been made out of this recliners and massagers, and again, going to corporates or any other facility, recliners and massagers is nothing. If you really see a corporate culture of the kind of facilities provided, these are peanuts. The kind of, the assembly sessions are run for 10 to 12 hours. Last assembly session, always in Belgaum, the first 8 days, one day it was almost up to 11:30 in the night. So that is what it is, the prerogative of the speaker who had this initiative based on certain inputs from the MLAs. Let us not, make this a very big issue out of this recliners and, sofas or whatever, massagers that have been brought. It's a very small
Fair
thing,
enough. I get your point. I'm just reminded of an incident. I'm just reminded of of an anecdote which my mother once told me. She is a school teacher, and she said that once a principal found a teacher sitting on the chair during an exam, and immediately after that, all the chairs were removed from the classrooms in order to ensure the teachers never sit while studying here. That's the kind of mechanism we did. Dr. Sudha quickly wanted to make a point, and I'll go to Ayan Faria for the last word. Dr. Sudha, go ahead.
Yeah. I just remember what Atal Bihari Vajpayee said, that a tree should not grow that tall that it does not give shadow to the people. So it is here also, it is the same thing. If the public representative has really been a shadow to the sorrows of the people, yes, he deserves a tap on the back. But no, it is not happening. So I think that the people of Karnataka should be addressed first for all their grievances. Later on, all these other things can be done.
How do we address this, Ayan Faria? Again, the point which Mr. Sudheendra said was not wrong. It's not just Karnataka here. How do we have still not reached a point where we don't have an system of accountability where apart from every 5 years we get to choose between one party and the other party. There is no way of giving a yearly review as to whether MLAs or lawmakers in general are doing the work they are doing.
Yeah, I think the trick is now, give them all these things. You're talking 12.75 lakhs now. Why are we talking small amounts? Number one, let's talk at the bigger picture. If each of them shirks for 1 hour a day on the job, the exchequer loses lakhs and lakhs of rupees. So let's take that into consideration. Give them their small sops. I mean, if they're going to be happy with that, give it to them. Give them their pay hike. Actually, then we can demand and say, you can't take bribes now. You've been given a fair salary. Why are you not working for the salary, and why are you working for the under-the-table amount? I mean, look at the amount that they are signing off on. They're actually giving out contracts and projects worth hundreds of crores of rupees or thousands of crores of rupees. Why are we being so small-minded here? Why aren't we looking at how do we get accountability from our ministers? Because they are accountable to us. We have voted them in. We have to ask them those questions. If we can trade this off now to say, take the pay hike, take your recliners, but give us accountability, I would be very happy with that.
Okay, fair enough. I don't think any of our citizens will mind our MLAs or our lawmakers getting a bit more comfortable working conditions. We all understand their pain. But again, it's a question of delivery. And unfortunately, we still don't have a suitable method in which we can decide how much. I mean, if they're public servants, ideally, if we are the bosses, we should be. Yeah, if they're public servants, we should ideally be in a position to decide their increment and pay hike. We don't have that system yet. But nevertheless, thank you for having this discussion, Dr. Sudha, also Sudheendra ji, for making some very valid points as well. Ayan Faria and also Bejon Misra, pleasure having you on the panel. It's time for a short break. From one set of lawmakers, we move on to another. At least while Karnataka's lawmakers have decided to give themselves a pay hike, Uttar Pradesh's lawmakers have decided to spit pan and stain the carpet of the Uttar Pradesh Assembly. Where is that accountability? We'll discuss after a short break.
माँ के पैरों की धूल माथे पर लगा, परदेश की गलियों में